What up, everybody? This your boy Black Magus, and gonna shift gears a little bit and talk some sports because I actually got to see some college football, which I was happy to see yesterday. It was some really, really good games. Saw some horrible coaching decisions, particularly Notre Dame and Clemson. Clemson, I'm glad to see them make horrible coaching decisions because I'm not a fan of Dabo Sweeney since his comments about the portal and then about NIL. You know, I'm more than happy to see Clemson, you know, sink just because of that. Hire a new coach, Clemson, if you want to advance and return back to the status that you were, because Dabo Sweeney, he ain't the guy for this modern era college football. Anyway, so of course, the big focus was on the Colorado game. The media has been talking about this, for a while now because Colorado has exceeded expectations. And, you know, the talk going in when Deion left Jacksonville State and went to Colorado was like, they're not going to do that well. They're probably only going to win one game this season, maybe two. They'd be lucky if they win three, blah, 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 blah. And, people try to start saying things about like how his culture is not going to work there, all of this and that. And to a lot of people's surprise, he has done exceptionally well. So leading into the game against Oregon, people were really, really talking about just like how well they were doing. And Colorado's been the focus of the media because of, you know, this unsuspected success. So everybody wants to talk to Dion. Everybody wants to talk about his players. Everybody, the general thing that you see in the media. When there's something to hype, the media will go and hype it because it brings them in rating, right? Brings in reviews, brings in clicks. Journalism has pretty much turned into social media. We all know this now. So whatever generates the most views and clicks will end up getting the attention. And right now, the Dion story is, that type of story. Of course, a lot of people are hating that, and he's getting a lot of um, you know, backlash for it. A lot of people are like, "Oh, he's just arrogant." You know, these players are just arrogant. They just think they're all that. They're overrated. Why are people talking about them? They don't deserve all the attention. And you know, it's weird and confusing to me. And that's why I really was glad I was able to sit and watch the entire Oregon Colorado game from start to finish. Yes, I'm one of those people who did, despite the coach saying at halftime, are you going to still watch? And yeah, I still watched because I wanted to see stuff like that, the conversation around the game and how it evolved and how people reacted. Because sure enough, it went the way that I thought it was going to go. Like it's fascinating to me how much negative heat this guy has generated for doing absolutely nothing than what other coaches would love to do. Like it's insane to see the energy around Deion Sanders in Colorado State. You know, now is part of it racial? Yes, I do believe part of it is racial, but I also think that it's like a lot more to it than the racial part. And I'm not dismissing the racial part because at the end of the day, it is what it is, and unfortunately, we may not see an end to that type of stuff anyway, where a successful black man doing things, you know, in his own way and accomplishing things is not, you know, something that a lot of people want to see because, you know, I always say this as my statement, and it's just, a statement I always say, but hey, blame Obama. When you start to achieve certain status and attention, which you can have major influence, and you're in a minority, that is very, very threatening. So yes, there is that part. But I also think that it's just largely the general college sports culture. I'm not even going to just say it's in football. We just haven't seen it as aggressive as we have in, you know, other sports as we do in football. Because let's be honest, y'all. If you follow college football and you pay attention, you know that college football coaches are probably some of the most insecure people on the planet. They're they're always feeling some type of way about something or someone who comes in and challenges their perception of how things should be done, or more importantly, how they can control the narrative. It's just like, I mentioned Dabo Sweeney. Part of the reason why I don't like Dabo Sweeney is because when, again, he came out when they were starting to do the like player portal, instead of having people lose a year eligibility to sit out to go someplace else, he was really against that. He was like, I would never use that. It's just horrible. This is just like, you're not even trying to recruit, and this is like, you know, you're just basically trying to lure players in, blah blah blah, all this. It's like, well, yeah, because that threatens him, because now he can't just sell the brand. He can't just sell the fact that he's been to the championship a couple of years. You know, players, if they don't feel like they're getting what they need to excel to the next level, or whatever their goals are at their school, they don't have to sit there and take it, or worry about risking losing a year of eligibility to perhaps go someplace else and succeed in their goals. Now they can just say, as long as they do it within the parameter, they can just be like, you know what? This isn't what I thought it was going to be. This is not the situation that I want to be in. I'm out of here. See you. And the coach can't do anything. The coach has nothing to stop them from doing that. The coach has lost that control. Part of the reason why you see Clemson now, they're not as great as they are. Yes, they still have good players and, are able to recruit talent, but the talent's not beholden to them. It's the same reason why you're seeing like kind of a fall off for Alabama. You know, yes, Alabama has the coaches and the pedigree that has, produced many good to great NFL players, but I don't have to go to Alabama for that, just to get that spotlight, or just to get that, type of training. I can go someplace else, and we can like capture like what Deion Sanders is doing right now, some attention by just making a little bit of noise, Or I could just go, or even if your goal is not just be like a star elite player, you could just go someplace where you feel more comfortable, where you get playing time, whatever. And now with the NIL in play, where players don't have to worry about going to the best facilities to probably get some perks, which may be above or not above board, they can go out and use their star power, their personality, and their on field performances to parlay into making some money to provide for their family while they're still in school. And now the decision of like only playing 2 years and going to the draft to try to get a check becomes less, less of a strain, because I want to play all 4 years and get my education. Now that I'm able to make, some money and make a living, while I'm pursuing, on field or off field goals in college, I'm not beholden. It's just like why you see Caleb Williams saying like, shoot, if certain teams fall in a certain place, I'll probably come back another year, because again, he's not suffering financially now because he's NFL, and he can make that decision a lot more easier. But again, someone like Dabo Sweeney, they don't like that, and it reflects on how they act. And this is where the Deion Sanders effect come in, because Deion Sanders, not only is he not like most traditional coaches and have that attitude, you know, he's also somebody who's relatable. to players, especially the players who have goals to succeed beyond. You know, he treats his players with a level of you know, respect and converses with them in a way in which they can relate to with a lot more honesty than most coaches are. It's not just selling them a brand. It's telling them like, look, we're here to try to do something. I can help you learn some things and hopefully you'll be a better person for it, if not a better athlete and go on. You know, he's genuine. It's not just like throwing his rings in your face. It's not even throwing his NFL success in your face. It's just the way that he approaches things. And that's scary because again, he knows that you don't need to do all the well, this school's traditions and blah 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 and stuff like that anymore because players again they have a lot more you know leverage. So he talks to them and he tells them exactly what you know he's looking for, and he doesn't hold back on anything with no deception. Like at least from my perspective, that seems to be the general perspective that he shows off because you know most coaches they're they're just if they don't you saw it with Nick Saban. Put it this way. You saw it with Nick Saban with the Texas A&M thing when he lost some players and the first thing he said, well, yeah, if they're going to throw more money than everybody else, then whatever. Why did he say something like that? Because they had there's no other thing to go to for them once they get beyond the normal quote unquote traditions. And now they're grasping at straws. It's not that Texas A&M was throwing more money. It's a more appealing situation. Think about it. You get more playing time. You're going to be on a big stage because it's still in the SEC. They do compete, so you will be seen a lot too. And you know, you don't have to worry about am I going to sit behind two or three other people who are probably going to start before I become a junior. Things like that. And I get I'm able to make some money there too. I don't need again that shield. And I think this is why Deion Sanders gets a lot of his flack is because he's embraced that and he's based his whole coaching culture around that. And a lot of the people who come at him are traditionalists. Because again, it's not just about race. He had that same problem at Jackson State. There were traditional HBCU coaches that didn't like the fact that he didn't do things the certain way that they're all used to doing it. And they called him out on it, saying that he's not really a HBCU man. He's just in it for the money. He's just trying to build himself up and things like that. It's like, you know, one, ain't that what all of you coaches are out there doing when you take a coaching job? You're trying to build yourself up to put yourself in a better position to get a better job and to continue and to be successful. So that's bullshit for them to say, especially again in the traditional way with all the control the coaches had. They can do whatever they fucking wanted to these kids in order to succeed and not worry about what happens to them or anything like that. Now you have to come to them in the position to make them think like, okay, what are you going to do for me? Not what I can do for you in the sense of, you know, championships and pride and glory and all of that. It's like, am I going to be someplace where I'm going to actually get that chance to help you with the pride and glory and championships while also being able to have success for myself in other ways? So, yeah, these coaches are floundering, and somebody like Deion, who tends to come off as a more genuine, more realistic, you know, person, that's upsetting because he's going to beat a lot of them to some of the talent. He's already gotten people transferred from other schools, you know, and he's gotten people who were already there to buy in. He's gotten school alums to buy in, and it's going to probably work out pretty well for him. Like, am I saying he's going to be like on Nick Saban's level? Probably not, but he'll be able to run a successful program that's going to generate a lot of good talent and do a lot of good things for a lot of people. And that's the thing that's troubling, is because it ain't the traditional way that he's going to do that by. And if you're that old school mentality coach, you're gonna lose. You're really gonna lose out to somebody, especially somebody who's as charismatic as he is. Because hey, a lot of these coaches have really zero personality. Like Nick Saban's a great coach, and you know, but I wouldn't call him a great personality. I think, oddly enough, Deion has helped with his personality in those Affleck commercials. That's the funny part about it. This whole thing, where you have tradition versus the new way of doing things in a commercial together. But you know, why do you think a lot of these guys don't work in the NFL when they try to go from college? Because they don't have that same control, and that's why a lot of them run back to college, because it's a lot better for them to feel like they have a lot more leverage and control over the talent than it is like the talent having a lot more to say. But that's starting to change. The talent is starting to have a lot more to say about what, when, and where they do their things. And Deion's embraced that. There's probably a few other coaches who will embrace that. And that's scary. So that's part of the reason why Deion's going to get all this hell. And that's a part of the reason why people are going to hate. You know, they're going to generate this whole narrative. And then, of course, there's just some people who are just simple minded and just either go with whatever they hear said, or can't like actually look beyond the first level of things in life. Like everything's way too black and white, and they have no clue as to how to look into the gray and actually see what's actually going on. You know, but yeah, you know, sucks that they lost the way that they lost, because now everybody's starting to hold. See, they're overrated. See, that's what you get for being how you are, and this is what like that type of stuff gets you. Blah blah blah. It's like, again, instead of trying to make things black and white, you look into the gray. You realize ain't the greater team. In fact, I actually said it on social media the night of the game. They're probably going to be 3-3 by the time we get through the next couple of weeks, because I think they play USC. I know for sure. Um, Coming up. But I also think they play Oregon State, who's a team that's vastly improving and is doing well, partially from what? Their transfer students. Because um, I can never say his last name, so I'm not even going to try and disrespect that man. But DJ, he used to be the quarterback for Clemson. And when he was in Clemson, he got all types of flack and like shit for not performing or to the level that they expected him. But he's in a different environment, different situation, different system, and with coaches who utilize his talents a lot better, and he's doing well. He's doing really, really well. You know, which is again why these coaches don't like the portal, and things like NIL, because these kids can go someplace and benefit in a system, an area, under coaches, and an environment where they'll be able to maximize their talents and their options. So it's crazy. So yeah, it's just really fascinating. It's just like just the whole um, crazy thing. But that's what change does. Change always makes things harder um, on those who embrace it than those who are against it. Because those who embrace it will always, have to be at least the first who start to embrace it. Always have to go through the sea of torment and disrespect until finally everybody realizes, like, hey, you know what? This is just the way it is, and this is how it's going to be. We need to accept it and move on if we want to succeed, too. I wish people would do that in all walks of life because things would be much better. But hey, it is what it is. Dion, you know, happy for his success. Glad he's doing well. Glad he's showing that, you know, you don't have to have a certain type of pedigree or background to be successful in coaching. And I hope this makes other teams start looking down into the lower ranks, because it's funny. We've had people come from Division 2. Um, I forget his name, the former coach of Ohio State. He had won a couple of championships at Youngstown State, came up, and he did successful at Ohio State, won a championship. But it took so long for it to get there where people were like, well, maybe we should give certain people a try. Like now we're back in the stage, and especially for um, you know, HBCUs, it would be really good if you start looking at these guys because these guys are talented coaches. Like, you know, they're very talented coaches, and they can get an opportunity, even if it's just at a lower school, to show like, hey, I can do well, and then we can move up and rest. Like, give everybody that opportunity. But that's neither here nor there. I think I've talked about this long enough, but yeah, it's just fascinating to me. It's extremely fascinating to me just how things work, especially within college sports. Like, yeah, shit is crazy. Anyway, as always, you guys feel free to hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll hit you later. This your boy Black Magus, and I'm out. Deuces.